The night smelled of dust and despair. Under the pale lanterns of the Texas frontier, people gathered for an auction no one should have ever witnessed. Among the horses, saddles, and wagons stood a woman holding a baby, her arms trembling, her face hidden beneath a torn shawl. The wind carried whispers about her, about what she'd done or hadn't done, but no one cared to ask the truth. She wasn't there by choice. She was there because life had cornered her, and now, someone was about to buy her future. The auctioneer's voice cracked through the silence like a whip. A young woman and her child. Who'll take them both? For a long, breathless moment, no one spoke. Then came the slow, confident footsteps of a man, boots pressing against the dirt like thunder approaching from afar. A tall cowboy in a weathered hat stepped into the lantern light. His name was Luke Carver, known across the plains for his honesty, his quiet strength, and the kind of heart that remembered pain. His eyes caught hers, and something inside her froze. He wasn't looking at her like the others, not with hunger, not with pity, but with something deeper, almost like he saw her soul before he saw her face. "I'll take them," he said simply. The crowd turned. The auctioneer blinked. "Both?" Luke nodded. "I'll be the husband, and the father both." The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush a man. The woman's lips parted in shock, her heartbeat thundering against her ribs. No one had ever spoken for her with such gentleness. The hammer fell. "Sold." The crowd dispersed, murmuring. Some mocked Luke for his foolish heart. Others shook their heads, calling it a waste of good money. But Luke didn't hear any of it. He walked toward the woman, toward Alara, her name trembling from her lips when he asked it softly. She held her baby closer, unsure whether to thank him or run from him. "I don't know why you did that," she whispered. "You don't even know me." Luke tipped his hat, a faint smile playing at his lips. "Ma'am, I don't need to know your past to know you deserve a future." Tears welled in her eyes. She hadn't cried in months, life had dried her heart, but those words cracked something open inside her. They rode out together under the moonlight, the baby asleep between them. Luke led the horse slowly through the open plains, his voice low and kind. "You don't owe me anything, Alara. You just rest. Tomorrow, we start fresh." That night, at his small ranch on the edge of Willow Creek, Luke built a fire in the hearth while Alara sat quietly, holding her child. The flicker of flames reflected in her eyes, eyes that had seen too much sorrow for one lifetime. But for the first time, she felt something unfamiliar. Safety. Luke poured her a cup of warm milk, setting it gently by her side. "You don't have to be afraid here," he said. "No one will hurt you or your baby again." She looked up at him, her voice barely a whisper. "Why are you being so kind?" He took off his hat, resting it on his knee. "Because once, someone saved me when I was at my lowest. Guess I'm just paying it forward." The fire popped, filling the silence. The baby stirred, and Luke smiled softly. "What's his name?" "Elijah," she said, her voice tender. "Elijah," Luke repeated with a nod. "Strong name. I'll make sure he grows up to be proud of it." Alara blinked back tears. She'd expected cruelty, not compassion, distance, not warmth. And as the flames glowed against the wooden walls, she realized, maybe this wasn't the end of her story. Maybe it was just the beginning. Outside, the wind carried the scent of rain, promising change. Inside, two lost souls, and a tiny heartbeat, began to rebuild what life had broken. Luke sat by the door that night, keeping watch while Alara and Elijah slept by the fire. He looked at the stars and whispered to himself, "Tomorrow, she'll smile again. Tomorrow, they'll belong." The cowboy who bought a woman and her baby never saw it as a purchase, he saw it as redemption. And that redemption had just begun.